going closer to 30 years now.
And you started in Queensland?
Yeah,
Which
so
is the northern part of Australia?
predominantly a beef state, and the western part is very dry. It's
Very cultural to Queensland.
Yeah. We've got two northern, there's very much a competition between north and south, and then New Zealand versus Australia.
There's no competition.
Yeah. There we go.
So I'm just taking the tailbone out now before I take the H-bone out. So
So do you guys get a lot of questions on Australia versus New Zealand versus domestic lamb? A little bit? Yeah. And how do you guys answer it?
Well, a lot of the time people are swaying towards the domestic rather than the Australian. One thing that my former manager kind of informed me is just like the wet aging process.
Yeah.
And it's not as gamey as people think from traveling from Australia over. It actually has more of a mild taste to it. So that's one of the pitches that I think.
Obviously, US domestic, you get that heavier carcass weight. They develop it very much for the big eye muscles, big loin chops. They put them on feed, whereas in Australia, our flock is about 70, it's fluctuating at the moment because of drought, million. So we have more lambs and sheep than people. So obviously we export about 60% of our lambs go overseas. And the majority of the feeding for lambs is pastures. We have a small component of feedlotting for lambs, but that's very small. So predominantly, like I would say.
which leaves us the butt or the tenderloin and the top sirloin. I'll take those just off so you can get a bit of a size look compared to what a beef is in comparison. Just clean it up a little bit. So that's well, for a little animal like this, it's butt tenderloin. And you can see there's no finish whatsoever on this. It's just skin meat for bone. But this is your top sirloin. So I'll just peel that out. Take the cap off. So that's your a cap off top sirloin.
Yeah, I'll get it to you. Randy, and you guys can figure it out. Yeah.
And like I said, I'll do an easy carve. So you can actually do a couple of different ways. I'm taking the knuckle out for this one. You can actually do the top side. It just depends on if you can get a better marker or a better price for different parts of the leg. One is a lot more slower to do as well. So when it comes back to a plant level, it's not very typically seen with the inside taken out, but it can be done.
And the easy carved lamb leg was a new item for you guys fairly recently. How's that kind of performed at the store?
Very well.
Very well?
Good customer review
Yeah.
on it so far.
Okay. Just because they get the 100% of the meat, they don't have to worry about the bone. Is it the sizing as well? It's a little smaller to kind of roast with?
So this is still a bit frozen, a bit harder to get a really clean bone. But I'll just take that knuckle out.
And Jason, you usually recommend for an easy carb leg, even like instructing the consumer to like stuff it with spinach or feta.
Yeah, or even a panko breadcrumb, with Mediterranean type seasonings is also pretty good. So that's the knuckle. I'll put it in the table. Down there.
Top round too.
Yeah, I'm not still used to the American terminology. So one of the tricks that plants don't do, but again, it's just because of the way things are done in a fast-moving environment. But you can actually, usually if this works, crack the knuckle cap and leave it on the leg instead of taking it right through the joint. So what that gives, that keeps that knuckle cap in there. If that's out, there's a big void and there's a big hole in there. So when you do an easy carve, when it strings up, there's a bit of a hole. So it's just for visual, more for visual. Again, with rolling the knuckle out and leaving that cap there, we would for seasonal in Australia, we would put a bead of stuffing in there, then roll it, and then string it up.
Yeah, you
Does
can.
our easy carve have that still attached to do that with?
If they roll it out, yeah, I think so.
I think the plants are basically taking that whole knuckle out as a piece. So,
So where would the consumer be able to stuff something if they wanted to untie it?
they would just what you can do to if that wasn't on there, what you do is open up the knuckle and suicide a bit more and take the cavity a bit further down into the shin area, so you can have got a place for it to go and then bring it around. You can also butterfly it out and around a bit to wrap. So there's a number of options there.
So with fall, winter coming in, like the holiday season, you can instruct them to do a breadcrumb with like an orange rind and maybe some pecans, and then they can stuff that in and rub it with like a more kind of holiday spice on the outside. They want to go for more the traditional method, where they said like Mediterranean or spinach and feta, and they can go into that cavity to make more of a beautiful presentation. So while Jason's doing that, we also talk about like sustainability. That sort of seems to be the hot topic now, that consumers are more and more concerned about how is this raised, what's the impact on the environment. Obviously, you guys get questions about US versus Australian, and I don't want it imported versus local. The Australian industry did do what we call a life cycle assessment study, an LCA, and that took almost 2 years to conduct. And what they do is they measure the impact of the Australian product from right on farm right through to the port when it gets delivered. And they measure biodiversity, water usage, carbon emissions, and then the transport component impact. So what they find is on the transport, it's only 5% of the environmental impact that the overall livestock production has.
So that's actually a big myth that's being passed around. Grass-fed, hormone-free, antibiotic-free.
One of the questions that was asked was the flapper skin. Is that harmless? Or not?
There's no flat.
No flap on there.
Information available to kind of talk to that piece about if people are worried about food miles in particular with an imported product. We've got also sustainability studies from the Vondry Group, which is our veal supplier as well. So what have you got?
So I've just got a fully boneless leg with the only the heel muscle still in there. I've left the shin still on the shank in that one. So I've got
our shanks look a little different. They're a bit chunkier. So
again the top sirloin.
So you're doing a butterfly line leg?
Yeah, I'll do some butterflies out of the parental.
Do you see any customers grilling with lamb during summer, or is it more you see like the Easter or holidays?
I see more just during the holidays. I mean, we do a lot of ground lamb too.
Ground lamb?
Yeah, that's why with burgers, I think that's a great idea also.
The butterfly leg lamb is awesome.
So what we would do, we've got an organic seasoning there and a normal seasoning.
Yeah.
Can you show them the
So we-
size of the sirloin too, so that they were looking at?
The sirloin, yeah.
Yep.
That was good.
So that's the outside. This is the inside.
Someone say lamb pizza? Yeah.
Lamb pizza, like a Italian version, where you roll it.
It's the inside.
And that's all merchandise as butterfly lamb leg?
Yeah, most of the knuckles actually go into the stew because it's so much leaner, and so predominantly these two muscles are what you would be getting all the time in your orders currently. That's the sirloin. The cap is still on it. just peels off. So that, being how small it is, you wouldn't even butterfly that because it's just so small. So
But usually it's like a big kind of
Yeah.
triangle like this big. It would be that big with the cup on.
okay, this to the front. I'll take the shoulders off next, and yep.
You need something for the bones.
Of course, we would normally do this with a bandsaw, but I'll go back to the old days. Hold it, it's a bit slippery. That was my back, actually. So of course, that's your an 8-rib rack there, and your loin. And I'll bone and roll a loin secondly. First of all, I'll bone a shoulder out.
So how many lamb carcasses do you reckon you butchered in your lifetime,
It's
Jason?
thousands, but just like a typical supermarket, like chain in Australia. I used to work for Woolworths, which has got about 900 stores. We would do, this is 10 years ago, but we would do about 50,000 to 60,000 lambs a week for the one supermarket chain.
Whoa.
So, it's still behind beef. We would do our own cattle, and that was about 10,000 roughly head a week for the one chain, which was about 60% market share. Yeah. I find that
High achievers.
this is still a bit frozen in there. Like ice cream.
Yeah, just like ice cream.
So do you see a lot of different flavour profiles between shoulder, the middles and the legs?
Yeah, and again, that's all reflective in two things. For the consumer is price and cooking time is probably the two most impactful areas from the different parts of the body. So, of course, the muscles that gets used more are the ones that are usually tougher and require slower cooking time. And the things like the rack and the loin are a lot sweeter because they don't get used too much to move around.
And that's a good point. Like I think whenever I get asked if they're a first-time lamb user, I never really kind of direct them to the shoulder meat first because that tends to be your stronger flavoured parts of the animal. So if they are sort of introducing themselves to lamb, obviously the racks, the short loin, and maybe the butterfly lamb leg or that sirloin is sort of a milder tasting meat and a good introductory into lamb because they will get a stronger flavour just because that animal has worked more in the front half of part of their body.
So that's the scapula or the blade bone that I've pulled out there. So in that is that's the oyster blade right there, which is a flat iron. Sorry. And then you got your blade and your neck meat.
And then where does the arm chop and the blade chop come from?
So the arm chop is this section right here, so that goes around the humerus. And of course, if I put that all back together, we would have the shoulder chop, which gets cut in that direction. So one gets cut this way, one gets cut that way.
And that's the one with the round circle in the middle of the bone? chop.
Yes, yep, in the arm chop, yep. Pull this down.
I hope you're paying attention because we need a volunteer to do the next one.
So this will be what you would get as a boneless roll shoulder roast is what I'm doing now.
So that's kind of more of a braising cut
Yep.
item.
So actually we would, you can actually do these shoulders as a butterfly shoulder as well, but the trim and the work is not really feasible to do it that way. But yeah, that would then trim it up a little bit.
So we have, we've kind of done some like culinary recipes and testing on like a cooked where you braise the lamb shoulder and, like, as a fig and apricot sauce. So a little sweeter to like offset the stronger lamb flavour of that item.
And that would generally get rolled and put into a netting. Of course, at a butcher shop you would string it, but that's the shoulder roast, the boneless shoulder roast. And I'll quickly just bone out a loin.
And you can get the shoulder rack out of the shoulder as well.
Yep.
Yep. So in Australia, there's been a lot of work going into the genetics of the lambs. We put a lot of R&D investment dollars into making sure that we get lambs where they have even backs, even eye muscle within that, so you don't get that tapering out.
Yeah. Is that through breeding? Just
Sorry?
natural
Through breeding, yep. Through selecting,
Yep.
obviously, certain ewes, certain breeds. One of the major breeds is the Border Leicester for meat breeding in Australia, along with White Suffolk.
Okay.
So that'll produce like a larger eye muscle, but more even eye muscle along the back there.
Again, this has got no body or shape to it at all, but
Yeah. Whereas this one hasn't been genetically selected. Charles Darwin wasn't involved in the study. So,
again, this is a more expensive cut, but with a longer tail, when you take it from a carcass, like most of the time, the longest you'll get is a 3 to 4 inch tail. But if you can get a 4 to 5, what it allows is to have a good seasoning roll.
and we think that's going to be a nice holiday item as an alternative. You okay? Do you need a towel?
Big rat. Thank you.
That's teamwork.
It's teamwork, right?
Yeah,
So we predominantly used to be a wool producing nation. In the 80s, we had a huge big wool crash.
with the invention of nylon
Nylon
and
and,
polyesters
like,
and those sort of
polyesters
things.
and-
So yeah, we went from being the world supplier of wool and fine wool. So now, if you have a look, a lot of the top Italians carry merino wool, Australian merino wool. So
And so what that did to the industry was the lamb prices crashed, but then all of a sudden the US market opened up as an export market for us on the meat side, and that changed the way we produce lamb. We used to just produce it for wool, didn't really worry about eye size, like loin sizes.